Gerbiamas Seimo pirmininkė.
Mr. Speaker of the Seimas, colleagues,
Iš ties toks jaudinantis emociškai momentas grįžti.
this is a very emotional moment for me when I return to my home, the place that I've spent many years together with you. Well, I will not name the number unless you discover my real age, because I really feel young and full of energy. The idea of the white paper and the presentation of that is related to concerning news or concerning developments we are following in Pabradė, not far away from Vilnius. We are waiting with concern for the recent news, and our thoughts are together with the families of the American troops missing. And this is a proof that military service in times of peace is also very full of peril. And this means that we have to express even higher respect to people who choose service. Now let me briefly present the white paper and mention the main points, as well as our activities within the European Commission, as we adopt not only the white paper, we have always also adopted the financial package on the rearmament of Europe. Rasa Budbergytė mentioned some critical points on this white paper, but we all understand the main principal statements here. And before going into detail of this document, I believe that the main philosophy of our work can be seen in the words of Ursula von der Leyen, head of the Commission, who said, by rephrasing the old formulation, if you want peace, prepare for what? This was the old saying coined by Romans, and this is the core for our future activities. And here in Lithuania, no talks are needed to explain why this is true. I want to congratulate and welcome the Lithuanian government for their decisions to achieve 5% of GDP to defense from 2026, because this shows that Lithuania understands the situation very well, and in this respect Lithuania sets an example for other countries, example of what a reaction to the situation should be. We can see examples from other neighboring countries, from Poland, other Baltic states, also preparing to respond to the challenges ahead, as well as Germany, and this actually reflects the general narrative of the actions to be taken. And here we can recall the experience of the European Union, which will soon celebrate its 70th anniversary, when Jean Monnet, during the signature of the Treaty of Rome in 1957, said simple words, that the European community will be established during the crisis, and what is established during the crisis will be the European community. And now we are facing a security or defense crisis. We are fully aware of that. And
komisaro gynybai ir kosmosui pozicija buvo įkurta ir visi sprendimai.
And we see that my own position as the Commissioner for Defense and Space was established as a result of that, or as a reaction to this crisis. And in Lithuania, there's no need to explain widely the essence of the crisis. Maybe this is the need in other European countries. But today, we are in a situation when in 3 months Russia produces its armaments in a larger amount than NATO, including the European Union countries, produce or manufacture in 1 year. Russia will have a much greater purchasing parity than other countries, including NATO countries and EU countries. And as we hear the evaluations and warnings from France, from Denmark, and NATO leadership, it seems that Russia is planning the possibility of testing Article 5 before 2030. And this actually helps us to understand our own necessary reaction or the planning of the direction in our defense and security. And in order to respond to that adequately,
visas veiksmų paketas paskelbtas Europos Komisijos, kuris dabar yra vadinamas parengties užtikrinimo iki 30 metų.
And now the package of documents on defense readiness 2030 includes a number of important documents. I will explain them later, but the logics behind that is that we, the Europeans, must take a much greater responsibility for European defense. We are all fully aware that the United States, despite all the emotions that we all have here, it seems that the general tendency is that the United States will put much of its focus on China and on ensuring security of its continent. And we have to bear in mind that the presence of the United States in terms of our defense might decrease with time. Therefore, we have to take our full responsibility for our defense. I tend to repeat the same numbers. 450 million Europeans should not be angry at 340 million Americans with their own agenda, with their own challenges, will not always be able to help us with our defense against a country with 140 million in Russia, which is not able to defeat 38 million people in Ukraine. And in order to take this responsibility, we have to fully understand what is at stake and what we need. And the gaps of our capabilities are really wide, and we should understand that. And this is clearly reflected in the report of the former Prime Minister of Finland, Mr. Niinistö. This report is intended for the discussion of our readiness strategy, which says that the European capabilities necessary to be ready for defense by 2030 are really very scarce. And the main efforts are actually targeted at that. Now is a standard NATO procedure is being carried out by reviewing its strategy, defense strategy, and in June new capabilities goals will be published, which actually helps us to see our own goals. And here the European Union will not be competing with neither NATO or non-EU member countries. NATO member countries are adopting plans and capabilities, and within the European Union we are bringing the added value, because as we implement our industry policy, including military industry, we can attract additional funds and can ensure that the goals are implemented as soon as possible. So this is the basis for the actions of planning that we are launching. And while we see this looming threat in Russia and decrease of the support from the United States, where it might redeploy its presence to the Indo-Pacific region, and we must understand that new technologies will be playing an important role in the future defense, and this is a challenge for Europe. We should not lag behind while these changes take place. And we also have to have all the strategic stockpiles and readiness pools. And we all understand that the European industry very much if a military escalation in the Taiwan Strait would happen, we all know what the outcomes would be. So these are the fundamental. This is the fundamental background that our joint white paper responds. From my early efforts, I've always maintained that European defense needs big bang. Meaning that we cannot work step by step or increase our capabilities step by step. On the contrary, we need large increases and consistent support and strong support for Ukraine. So, this is the essence of the white paper. This is a very important document, and the process of drafting this paper was very important to me personally. We got proposals from all EU member states. We also received consultations from military industry, from private sector, and we see that there is a certain position convergence here. And as we published the white paper, I said that we have to understand that we will not be able to deter Putin only by reading this or having this white paper. And the most important effort will follow. We have to actually take action, and only our concrete action will be a deterring factor for Russia.
vietoje aš noriu pabrėžti, kad baltoji knyga
Here I would like to stress that the white paper
nėra knyga, kurioje būtume bandę atsakyti
is not a book that would focus on all the issues relating to the challenges and the needs in the defense sector. Some people might ask why the white paper does not cover the armed forces or the security architecture of the European Union. And my opinion has always been very clear. We should focus on strengthening our defense capabilities. A time will come when we will be forced to address other issues as well, but today the main goal is to address our practical and financial capabilities and move from reflection to implementation, and to take very specific steps in this area. And we hope that in June in the European Council we will be able to present some concrete decisions on the planning of defense capabilities and on the ways of implementation.
Jūs tą žinot ir kolegė Budbergytė apie tai jau kalbėjo, tai visų pirma padaryti sprendimai tame, ką aš
Now the first decisions have already been taken in the area of financial readiness, which all the plans are useless without supporting funding, and all the decisions that were published and that are speedily implemented. The Commission and my directorate has prepared the Security Action for Europe instrument, and hopefully the Council will approve it. Yesterday I was in a COREPER meeting and with the ambassadors to NATO. I see the support and we're moving steadily forward. The European Union will provide an opportunity for the member states to earmark 800 billion euros of additional funding for defense in 4 years, which means that we are speaking here about additional funding. But if we take aggregate funding for defense in member states in 4 years, if, for example, we take that all countries spend 3.5% on their GDP, which makes up 2.4 trillion of euros on defense, 30%, according to the NATO standard, is directed towards the military industry, which is 800 billion euros. And hopefully these investments could be directed into the European industry. 80% of our defense equipment in Europe, unfortunately, is purchased outside the European Union. We should have a military industry and a developed military industry on the European soil, so that in the case of war we're able to have all the stockpiles and all the necessary equipment. The regulation on the SAFE envisages loans. The SURE program that was used by 20 countries of the European Union. And these loans will also open the opportunity for supporting Ukraine. And here, Ukraine is given the status of Norway. Ukraine, in all the defense program of the European Union, has all the rights of all EU member states. So this is an important status for Ukraine. And 1.5% of defense budget can be set aside and not included into the national budget, which is the escape clause, which would allow the attraction of 650 billion euros, and hopefully this money will be used for collective purchasing and collective defense. We also have 3 important units in the white paper. One of them is dedicated to strengthening Ukraine's defense potential. In general terms, it is important that the white paper for European defense includes Ukraine's defense as a part of European defense, and this is very important to my mind. And we know the support for Ukraine. Europe is really doing a lot. We can argue with our partners in the United States, who is a greater contributor. If we include all the EU member states, United Kingdom and Norway, the amount of our military support have been equal. And in general, the European support for Ukraine is larger than that of the US by 30%. But if we look at military support in 1 year, we have to understand the support provided by the European Union and the United States is below 0.1% of GDP. And this number shows that we can look for ways to increase this support. And the Danish model or the new support strategy is also very important when we purchase weapons in Ukraine, and we support Ukraine this way because we purchase weapons and give it to in Ukraine and give it to Ukraine. In 2022, Ukraine produced 1 billion of worth of weapons, and in 2024 this budget increased to 35 billion in 2024, and these are European quality weapons, artillery system Bogdana. I've seen that 40 units are produced of that, and some European companies such as Caesar or German producers of howitzers failed to produce such an amount. And this is not only European quality weapons, but the price is price is twice as smaller.
So this is a very important model, and let me also note that the new loans under SAFE, the so-called AAA rating loans, might be used to support Ukraine. That is, they can be used together with Ukraine, and so Lithuania can jointly with Ukraine purchase weaponry and provide weaponry to Ukraine. So this opens up many more new opportunities. Another key principle that we aspire to implement is speeding up the integration of Ukraine's military industry with the European one. This requires for the European Council and the European Parliament to approve the European Defence Industry Program. This is something that has already been under development over the last year, but the top European institutions have not fully endorsed it, so hopefully we will find more understanding towards that. And this measure is meant to ensure speedier integration of Ukraine's military industry with the European one. Now let me say a few words on strengthening the defense potential of Europe. Our primary goal, as I have mentioned, is to map the needs, the defense needs of Europe, hopefully before the Council in June will be able to do that. We are working together with NATO and other European top institutions, and this will lay the foundation for demonstrating both for the industry and others as to what is missing. Some of the priority areas are the following. First of all, we must find the ways how to significantly increase the mass production of conventional weapons, that is, artillery units, drones, and the like. I cannot speak about specific known numbers, but if the European Union member states were involved in a war similar to the one taking place in Ukraine, we would not have enough resources to do that. Our second priority area requiring our speedy action is strategic enablers and finding those. In today's war, it is of utmost importance. And this encompasses some very important aspects necessary for a modern-day war, such as space intelligence or relocation of heavy weight equipment, air refueling, and many other aspects that are important for our militaries. So bearing in mind Europe's readiness in this respect, we do see quite a few gaps, and this is where we are a lot dependent on our transatlantic partners, which is why we need to speed up the processes around our soil. I'm about to finish. I know that I'm out of time, and the last priority area is the development of joint European defense projects such as air defense shield, space defense shield, things that cannot be developed by countries on their own, and this is where we plan to speed up our action in the nearest future. I'm sorry for taking more time than I was given, but as you can see, a lot of work awaits us.
Rodoma pavyzdžių daugeliu kitų valstybių, kuriuom tokio pavyzdžio tikrai reikia. Ačiū labai.